This is the only movie ever made for a murderer. This is the movie that has dominated Korean movie history for 20 years. Salinui Chueok, a suspenseful movie. A naked woman's body was found in Hwaseonggun, Gyeonggi. For this reason, Detective Song investigated everyone involved. But before the investigation was completed, not far from the rice field, a body appeared again. The woman was wearing a red dress. The panties covered the girl's eyes. Old Song, who claimed to see through the truth, was also dumbfounded until he learned from his wife, Gwang Ho, the town idiot, had followed the victim. On the other side, a woman was followed, panicked and fell off the ridge. She was seen by Song, who was passing by. Song kicked her down and beat her up. He beat her up, but it was only afterward that we realized this man is the special commissioner, Lao Su. In front of Lao Su, he showed the unique way of handling cases in small-town police. With this forged evidence, plus, Gwang Ho was able to tell all the details of Hyang Suk's murder. He was identified as the murderer. But just as the police department was about to make a town-wide announcement, Detective Seo realized the murderer's nodding technique was expertly done. Gwang Ho's disabled hands could never have done it. There's no DNA identification technology. This put everyone in a quandary. At this time, Old Sue, he realized the connection between the cases. He realized that there must be another victim. Sure enough, a decomposed female body was found, but from the way the body was knotted, it was definitely the work of one person. In order to draw out the murderer, the policewoman wore a red dress on a rainy night to lure the murderer, but she never waited. A woman was walking along the path of reeds. The woman seemed to realize something was wrong. The next moment, she ran away. A fourth woman was killed, but this time, the victim wasn't wearing red. This time, the killer left footprints. Detective Seo assumed that the murderer committed the crime in the vicinity of the factory, but the rain had already washed away the marks. And that's when Xiao Mei realized that the murderer had committed the crime. The same song was always played on the radio, but they didn't pay attention to it. They chose to return to the scene of the crime. I didn't expect a man to show up. He was holding the underwear and seemed to be reminiscing, but when he was caught, suddenly rushed in. Old Sue denied that he was the murderer. It turns out, Agent Sue learned from the girls at school rumors of a murderer escaping from the toilet, which led him to the first victim of the case last September, because she didn't look at the murderer's face. For that, she saved her life. Lao Su also learned from the woman. The murderer's hands are very delicate. Old Sui concluded that the man is not the murderer, so the two of them went to great lengths to fight. At that moment, the song came on the radio. Everyone instantly realized the murderer would definitely commit another crime tonight. Early the next morning, the woman's body was found by a passing letter carrier. In addition to the similarity of the murder method, the murderer even stuffed 9 pieces of peaches into the victim's body, much to Song's dismay. Luckily, Xiao Mei found the postcard for the song, but when they arrived at the address in the postcard, the house was already empty. From the photos and decorations in the house, this person has served in the army. After asking the neighbors, his name is Park Shin-hui. Seo touched his hand. His intuition told him this man must be the murderer, and he came to town last September. But all these are just speculations. Old Song suddenly remembered Gwang Ho's description of Hyang Suk's murder. Both of them realized Gwang Ho's description was what he saw. A series of murders happened in the town. Old Park and Tae found Gwang Ho again. They wanted him to identify the murderer. They were right. Gwang Ho saw the killer's face. But when Song pulled out a photo of Park Shin-hui, but Gwang Ho couldn't answer anything. As Gwang Ho's father arrived, after a moment of confusion, Gwang Ho was already on the railroad tracks. A train was coming. There was no evidence. Park Shin-kyu was released. After that, the investigation team found the killer's semen on the last victim. They found the killer's semen. As long as it matches Park Shin-kyu's, we're sure he's the killer. So until the results come back, it became Seo's mission to keep an eye on Park Shin-kyu. But that day, he fell asleep, and the next thing he knew, a man with a girl in his hand appeared in the woods. He placed stationery and cutlery in front of the girl. He placed the stationery and utensils in front of the girl. He killed her. When the body was found the next day, the police found a pencil and a spoon. They found a pencil and a spoon. Old Sui couldn't suppress his anger any longer. Just as he was about to shoot him, the man shot off his pistol. At that moment, Song arrived with the report. The DNA of the two didn't match. Old Seo didn't believe it. He was about to pick up his pistol and kill Park Sun-hui. Song stopped him. He looked at the departing Park Sun-hui. The year 2003 rolled around. When Song returned to the scene of the crime, he was stopped by a little girl. She said that not long ago, there was a man who was also looking at this hole because he remembered something. He remembered something he did here years ago. Park asked the girl if she remembered the man's face. The little girl said he was a normal-looking man, very ordinary looking. Park's mind was taken back many years. He looked ahead.